So the grand strategy to win Canadians back is a billboard in Toronto. I mean, forget about diplomacy, accountability, or actual change. No, let's just slap up an ad and hope Canadians flood back over the border. Brilliant. Right up there with the 2-for-1 pizza coupons, discounted hotel rooms with exchange rate incentives, and those infamous free golf balls. How could we possibly resist? But seriously, today I've got two reports on this topic, one from Canada's side and one from the US. They're both talking about the same issue, but the tone and messaging, night and day. And I'll be honest, the US report somehow made me dislike the billboard even more than I already did. Before we jump in, quick shout out to my mom for today's backdrop. I think she's getting into bird photography now, and judging by these shots, she's off to a great start. Thanks again, Mom. All right, let's get into it.
A U.S. border city is hoping to win back Canadian tourists. That billboard that is now up next to one of Toronto's busiest highways. The message from Buffalo, New York is a response to Canadians boycotting travel to the U.S. because of the trade war and President Trump's 51st state rhetoric. Officials in Buffalo say Canadian visitors have meant as much as $1 billion for the city's economy. Thomas Diagba takes us there.
Hello from Buffalo, New York, on the shores of Lake Erie, directly across from Ontario's Niagara region. This is a city best known for its chicken wings and football, but for people from southern Ontario, this has long been a shopping and day trip destination. Not so much since Donald Trump's trade war. So the local tourism board here is reviving its campaign known as Buffalo Loves Canada to tell Canadians to come back.
In February, when tariff talks started, we pulled back on all of our advertising because we were getting some negative sentiment, obviously. And we thought this was an opportunity with Canada Day just to dip our toe a little bit into the market again and see what the sentiment is.
Oh, I've got the answer for you. And no, the sentiment hasn't gotten better. If anything, it's worse. In BC alone, land travel into Washington is down 43%. And while I don't have the exact stats for crossings out east, the frustration is nationwide. I've got another video on the BC side coming soon. Now look, I get it. The guy in the clip is doing his job. He wants to bring in money and revive his city's economy, but he's completely missing the mark. He claims he stopped his ads because of the tariffs and now wants to test the waters, like it was just a little misunderstanding. As if he's popping back in saying, "Hey, still mad? Just checking if you're ready to spend your money here again." That's not how this works. If you want Canadians to return, show us you push back. Lobby your leaders. Stand up for the neighbor you claim to miss. But instead, all we see are ads and promo deals. And that just proves the point. It's not about friendship, it's about money. It's a very tone-deaf response.
According to U.S. border officials, the number of travelers crossing from Ontario to this area of western New York has dropped 24% year over year. And officials here say border crossings never even fully recovered since the pandemic. So tourism operators like Buffalo Harbor Cruises are offering a 30% discount for Canadians to lure them back. Just show your Canadian ID.
You're our neighbor. You're right across the river. We share the border. We share the waterways. Every day we travel through a Canadian waterway. And we don't take that for granted.
The Toronto Blue Jays AAA baseball affiliate, the Buffalo Bisons, are also offering a 30% discount for Canadian tourists all summer. The message from local businesses that depend on tourists is they don't agree that Canada should be annexed by the United States, as their president has claimed. Instead, they just want people on both sides of the border to go back to getting along.
There's something that really pisses me off about this whole "can't we just go back to getting along" message. After everything that's happened, the tariffs, the annexation threats, the 51st state rhetoric, you think Canadians are just going to forget? Like none of it mattered? We're smart. We can think individually. We have a good education system. Your president openly threatened our sovereignty. Donald supporters cheered it on. And now your businesses, who said nothing during all of it, are begging us to come back and spend our money? Give me a break. If this had been reversed, if Canada threatened to annex the US, bullets would be flying north of the river. But when it happens to us, we're just supposed to suck it up and head back to your outlet malls. It's insulting and tone deaf. And it proves one thing: most US businesses don't actually care about Canada. You care about our dollars, and that's the problem. You didn't stand up when it mattered. You stayed quiet when your leaders crossed the line. Now you want us to help your economy? No amount of shared history or nostalgia fixes that. The damage is done. If you feel the same way, leave a comment. Let's put the truth out there. Now let's take a look at the exact same story, except this time, it's from a US media outlet. And I'm warning you, this one's probably going to boil your blood. Same situation, same facts, but the way they spin it, I'll let you see for yourself.
Buffalo loves Canada. That's the message from Visit Buffalo Niagara to the Great White North on the eve of Canada Day. Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us at 11. I'm Febin Casahoon. With Canada Day celebrations looming, trade discussions have resumed between the Canadian Prime Minister and President Donald Trump. Canada's government has agreed to rescind a digital services tax in hopes of alleviating tensions between the two nations. Here's what both leaders had to say.
It's very simple. Prime Minister Carney in Canada caved to President Trump in the United States of America. And President Trump knows how to negotiate, and he knows that he is governing the best country and the best economy in this world, on this planet. And every country on the planet needs to have good trade relationships with the United States. And it was a mistake for Canada to vow to implement that tax that would have hurt our tech companies here in the United States.
Okay, sorry for the language, but what the actual was that? A story about Buffalo trying to win back Canadian tourists, and somehow they wedge in Donald's idiot speaker rambling about the digital tax? What the hell does that have to do with anything? It's not a coincidence, it's calculated. That clip was shoved in there to set the tone, to make Canada look small, passive, and ready to crawl back with open wallets, like we're just waiting for a signal to fold. This is the kind of manipulative garbage that keeps feeding the illusion that nothing's changed, that Canadians are still predictable, still polite, and still willing to come back, no matter how deep the disrespect cuts. But we're not. And if US businesses or media think this kind of bullshit helps, they're delusional. Am I overreacting? Or are you just as pissed? Let me know in the comments.
It's part of a bigger negotiation. It's something that we expected in the broader sense that would be part of a final deal. We're making progress towards a final deal. There's more to be done.
This comes amid a major drop in tourism from our northern neighbors. U.S. Customs and Border Protections report a 25% decline in cross-border travel nationwide year to year. In our region, we saw a 14% drop with upcoming holidays on both sides of the border.
This right here is why I don't bother with the numbers. The U.S. reports look tame. But then you check Canada's side, and the numbers show way more Canadians staying home. Same border, same crossings, but completely different stories. Why? My guess, US media doesn't want to spark panic. Just keep it quiet. Hope we come back. But if you're new here, let me be clear. My benchmark isn't government charts or spin-doctored reports. It's simple. How many US businesses are begging Canadians to return, offering discounts, pleading to us to come back? That's the data I trust. That's the signal that things aren't fine. Now I get it. The screenshot I showed earlier is from the West Coast. So no, it's not an exact match to what's happening out east. But let's not pretend the border only exists in one place. That line cuts across our entire country. And every time data gets released, there's always a discrepancy between provinces, between reports, and especially between what Canada shows and what the US wants to admit. The trend is clear, even if the numbers aren't apples to apples.
We're diving deeper into a new campaign aimed at reviving cross-border relations.
Just to keep ourselves top of mind when those Canadians are ready to cross the border again. Just let them know we're still the city of good neighbors, and we want you to come back and experience the Buffalo that you know and love.
A message of friendship will be splashed across Buffalo's billboards Tuesday, just in time for Canada Day. Buffalo Loves Canada signs will be launched, accompanied with a website showcasing all things our friends to the north frequently visited here in the States.
It's all the things that they are used to coming over, shopping, our theater, great food, the outdoor recreation that we have as well. But again, it's just really to remind them of what we have here in Buffalo, and that, you know, we're very welcoming and we want you to come back.
Visit Buffalo Niagara President and CEO Patrick Kaler says that the logo will appear along the QEW near Toronto, welcoming Canadian travelers.
Typically, we welcome about 9.5 million visitors to Buffalo on an annual basis. Anywhere from 35 to 40% of those visitors do come from the GTA. It just depends on the overall exchange rate and what's going on.
9.5 million visitors to Buffalo. 45% of them from the GTA. That's about 4.2 million Canadians who used to head over and drop their money into that local economy. Now let's say, even conservatively, that just 30% of them stopped crossing. That's 1.2 million people. And if each of those 1.2 million would have spent just $300 on a trip, hotels, gas, meals, shopping, that's a $384 million hole. That's a lowball estimate. The real percentage is probably higher. The spending? Definitely higher. But even at the bare minimum, this is a serious dent in Buffalo's economy. And that's why there's a billboard in Toronto. That's why this story exists. That's why the US media is suddenly paying attention. They're feeling the hit.
While the agency is taking on a re-welcome to America approach, Friends of Freedom Park are taking on an elbows up approach.
You look at all the bridge crossings and the traffic isn't what it was, and it's understandable, I suppose, from the way that has changed habits. And hopefully it's not irreparable, but it's one of those things that has kind of shifted travel as we move.
Michael Powers is the organizer. This Saturday, 2 rallies will be held to try and revive our centuries-old relationship.
We want to make sure that this continues, that that relationship doesn't die just because there's somebody trying to be a bully at one end of the government. Hopefully we can see past all that and find our way back.
So there it is. One report from Canada, one from the US. Same topic, completely different tones. And maybe it's just Caroline's gaslighting that set me off. But after watching the US coverage, my reaction was simple. Screw your billboard. This isn't outreach. It's desperation wrapped in a discount. And it's insulting to think a sign on the freeway will undo the damage. It's been 5 months. 5 months of empty gestures and clueless assumptions. They still don't get it. We don't want coupons. We don't want exchange rate deals or golf balls or 2-for-1 pizza. We want accountability. We want to see you stand up to your government. Call out the people who caused this mess. Do something other than begging us to come back and spend money. Until that happens, your marketing campaigns? Just more money down the drain. If you found this video helpful, hit like and subscribe to get this message out to more people, and share it with your friends. And if you're still here, check out the other videos on your screen now. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.